We recently did a family emergency action plan video, going through a list of sitting down with your family, going through a number of different scenarios, making a plan in case something were to happen. And it's just important to have your family on board. Today we're going to take a look at the Family Disaster Supplies Kit. And we're going to also combine this with a car emergency getaway kit. This is loosely based on a lot of the information that FEMA puts out about being prepared. Now, of course, this being based pretty much on FEMA's recommendations, we have to add that definitely a firearm or some way for self-defense is critical for your family, especially in an emergency situation. You know, obviously a firearm is one of the best ways to defend yourself, but also if there are some kind of restrictions and you need pepper spray, some sort of knife, whatever you need, check your local areas and make sure that you have something to defend your family. And for that matter, all your supplies. One thing that you need to have is a large container or an area in your home to be able to put all your supplies. That way you'll know where they are. You're not running around searching for them in case there is an emergency. Now, one of the most important elements in survival is water. And so 1 gallon per person per day is usually what most people need. And so you need to have some water stored up. And of course, you can get water out of your hot water heater. You can get it out of the tank that's in your toilet, behind your toilet. You don't want to drink that water, but it is available in case you need to wash your hands and for general sanitation. But also having different type filters could also be important. But if for some reason the water supply is cut off, you need to have that water. So that means with a family of 4, really you need to have at least 3 days supply. And really more than that would be great. Now, having at least 1 week supply of prescription meds. Sometimes with doctors, they're very slow to give you extended medications, but at least have 1 week. If you need to travel, you may need to have more than that. And then also having a medical supply kit. First aid is great, general first aid, but you need to bump that up. I mean, you need to have extra supplies and extra medications, whether it's Advil, Tylenol, Imodium, Pepto-Bismol, antacids, things like that, Band-Aids, bandages, but also having a good trauma kit is really important because emergency medical may be, really overwhelmed. Now, having non-perishable food items. I mean, canned foods are great. They are heavy, but they're cheap and they're easy to prepare. Of course, also having different types of food that's contained and won't spoil. Mountain House foods and dehydrated foods, those are also excellent to have stored up. MREs also are a great source for food. And then any special diets that you may need to check on. I mean, whether it's infants, whether it's the elderly, whether it's somebody that may have some kind of allergy or have to be on a special diet. And you need to make sure those things are covered. And also pet food. Make sure that you keep a supply of pet food just in case there is an emergency. And really, a well-stocked pantry is just smart in the first place. Now, having a change of clothes, especially considering the weather. I mean, if it's wintertime, you need to have extra coats and to be able to bundle up. If it's the summertime, you need to be able to address that as well. Also, good, sturdy shoes or boots, which leads to thermal blankets or, wool blankets, things like that to keep you warm. If the power shuts down, you need to have those available. Personal hygiene items, making sure that you have soap and shampoo, you have your toothbrush, your floss, whatever you need, making sure that you have that ready for you. And of course, that definitely would fall into a car kit. But even if you're stuck at home for a couple of weeks, making sure you have enough supplies to keep yourself clean. Making sure that your cellular phones are charged, having battery backups to charge them if you need to. Also having a list of numbers to be able to access, and you need to make a printed out list because if something were to happen to your phone, you need to be able to get out. You may have to borrow someone else's phone. Having credit cards available, ready to use them if you need to get supplies. Of course, sometimes ATMs and machines are down, and so having a good supply of cash. I mean, personally for us, we keep about $2,000 in cash all the time. We keep it in our safe. If we ever need it, we've got it. But there have been economies all over the world that have crashed and banks have closed, ATMs are only giving out a little bit of money, and sometimes cash is the only thing that you can use, especially in a situation where there's a lot of power outages. Also having your important documents, whether it's your birth certificates, social security cards, passports, bank statements, different things that you need, making sure, again, that they're in a waterproof, fireproof box. and keep that separate. And then know where it is, and if you need to get out of Dodge or if you need to get to those papers, you'll have them accessible. Not only having your keys, but an extra set of keys and having them close by, knowing where you have them. We have a bar that we hang up all of our keys on, and so when we get home, we put them right there where we know where they are. Especially if you need to hit the road, you'll be able to have those extra set of keys. There's nothing worse than locking your keys in your car, and of course with emergency and services down, you may have to bust a window, which you definitely don't want to do. And guys, having a basic survival kit, whether it's a fire kit, whether for a compass, tents, sleeping bags, different things that you might need for survival outdoors. Of course, we have a lot of those different things that we use, but make sure that you have those kits available with your family emergency supplies. Have flashlights with fresh batteries, have a lantern or some kind of light source, especially again if the power goes out, and then you'll need flashlights to carry in your car kit. Now, having basic tools are definitely an important part of survival. This is just a sampling. There's definitely a lot more tools that I have in a regular toolbox. Having tools to be able to shut off utilities also should be added. And then last but not least, make sure you have games, whether it's a deck of cards, whether it's some board games, having something to pass the time, especially if you have young kids. But even as adults, I mean, we need to have some kind of entertainment. And so that is a great option to be able to pass the time, especially if you have no electrical power. Now, if you need to leave your home, you need your car getaway kit. And to be honest with you, if you can have a nice container about the same size, pick it up, stick it in the back of your trunk. Water takes up a lot of room, but you do want to take some water as well. And to be able to just grab it, put it in your vehicle and go. And this is definitely recommended by FEMA. So the first thing you do is make sure your gas tanks are full. Keep them topped off. Make sure that you have at least half a tank or more at all times. Don't let it get down to almost empty, because a lot of times in emergency situations, gas stations get overcrowded. A lot of times they even run out of gas. And guys, having a certified gas container. It's really important. In fact, it's against the law to put gas in any other type container. You have your water jugs, you pour it out, you try to fill it up with gas. Sometimes gas stations won't even allow you to do that. So make sure that you do have a certified gas can. Having booster cables or jumper cables in your vehicle, and being able, in case your car breaks down, you'll be able to hook them up, and if someone else pulls over to help you, they may or may not have booster cables. Also, having fire extinguishers are a really important thing that a lot of people don't carry in their vehicle. I had a real close friend of mine that his truck caught on fire while he was driving to work, and ended up the whole truck went up in flames. He said early on if he'd had a fire extinguisher, he may have been able to put the fire out, but he lost all the valuables also in his vehicle. Guys, there are times where I've helped someone to change a tire that didn't have the right jack or didn't have the right tire iron to be able to loosen their lug nuts. Make sure that you have an adequate tire kit, plus having some Fix-A-Flat or something else in there in case you just need to pump it and go. And of course, make sure that your tires are really well suited. Make sure they have plenty of tread. Make sure that you need to change them out, then go ahead and do it. Having maps definitely are an important part of being on the road. I have outfitted all of my family with maps of the general area. And I did relay a story, it was a true story, about where I was driving down this really old country road and they had changed the roads and my GPS went out. And it would pop up every once in a while. If it hadn't been for a map, I may still be out there today. Because sometimes GPS, especially if you're out in rural locations, can have some problems. And then again, in an emergency situation, you may have no GPS in the first place. Also, having flares and signals or different emergency alert signs to be able to put up near your vehicle. You may be stopped on the side of the road and you're able to alert people right on the side, because a lot of times they ride right up next to your vehicle. And so being able to let them know that something's going on. Plus, alert authorities, if they need to stop, they can stop and give you assistance. So again, guys, communication, supplies, and having a destination. That's really important. And if you do end up out on the road, make sure that you do have a destination. And make sure you have those numbers where you can call people if you need to, even if your phone's out. So being prepared really gets you way ahead. Because guys, while none of us want to think about the emergencies and the dangers that are out there, doesn't mean that they go away. Those emergencies and dangers are out there all the time. And it may not be a regional or even a global SHTF. It could just be a personal SHTF where you need your supplies. Now guys, one of the best resources I know for survival is Survival Dispatch Insider. They use some of the top names in the survival world that are contributors there on Survival Dispatch Insider. We upload one video a week that's exclusive to the Insider. I'll have a link down below in the description. Check it out. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.